How many total views do you have?
Yeah, it was close to 500 million. Thumbnails to this day is my struggle.
Dang it, I just want to make these like beautiful, like cinematic, like storytelling, and you put your heart and soul into it, and people, they just didn't care, you know?
I think they want something that they want us. I call it the Kanye West effect. I feel like people want to see something that they...
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Do It for the Views podcast. Today, I'm joined by my buddy and longtime YouTube friend, Jamie Perkins. What's up, Jamie? How you doing?
What's up, bro? How are you, man? I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thanks for making time over in, was it Saturday for you today, right?
It is. It's Friday night over there, right?
Friday night, bro. Yeah, Friday night. I'm ready to go out in the town. Kind of. Not really. I got kids.
Dad life. That's how dad life is, man.
Just to give you guys a quick little rundown here, Jamie has over 1.7 million subscribers. How many total views do you have? Like it's 500, 600 million?
I think so. A lot of my old videos were taken down, but I think it was close to 500 million. Which is
insane,
crazy when you,
so our channels are very similar size.
Yeah.
It is. When you really think about that, it is nuts. Remind me again, how long have you been a YouTuber?
So I started on YouTube about 12 years ago. I've been vlogging for about 10 years. So I'm a dinosaur on the platform.
10 years, bro? So you were on YouTube before you started the family channel?
So I used to make music, and the first 2 years my channel was up, I would put music on it. Like, not consistently. It was just like a place to just sort of put it. And yeah, so the channel's been around for about 12 years, I think.
That's insane, dude. I had no idea you were a musician.
Yeah, it's sort of like a whole other lifetime ago. I wasn't that good. I'm better as a videographer.
That's crazy. Yeah, because that's the Jamie I know, right? Like, that when I think I don't remember how we even met. Do you remember how we met?
I think I hit you up via Instagram, maybe.
Instagram. So you hit me up. I
used to like your videos, and I always really respected your thumbnails. Thumbnails to this day is my struggle, and I always be like, "How does this guy do his thumbnails?" I think I reached out to you, asked you for some tips. You gave me some great tips, but I've still never been able to get on your level.
Oh, whatever, bro. Well, you know what? Whatever you do must have been working, dude, because we have like the same size channel, same amount of views almost and everything. So we must have both done pretty good.
How long have you been on the platform?
7 years, man. So I heard about vlogging was like this concept, like I don't even know how many years ago. It must have been around the time that like Charles Trippy and like Shay Tars, all those guys were starting to get on. The OGs, right? Because I feel like we're kind of OGs now, but they're like OGs.
It's like the younger generation look at us like OGs, and we're like, no, we're not OGs. We're like OGs, Charles Trippy, the Shay Tars, they're like
this man's been on for 15 years,
and they would do it daily. Everything. Like, I remember Charles Trippy had like a brain tumor. Like he was going through stuff like that, and he was still filming. Like the camera kept rolling.
Okay, now we chat about all that. Why did you decide to become a YouTuber?
Oh, I kind of fell into it, to be honest. Like I wanted to be like a traditional filmmaker. I used to do like music videos and wedding videos, like every videographer, and I was kind of heading down that direction. And then YouTube was kind of like this little thing that I had going on the side for quite a few years. Me and my ex-wife, we would vlog, and it was just sort of like a little side thing. And then when my first daughter, Ava, was coming along, I was doing all right with film, but I was like the sole income earner for my family, and I just didn't feel like I could provide the way that I wanted to provide on the income that film was giving me at that point in time. And also I was having to travel a lot. I was like going on tours with musicians, and just like the lifestyle didn't really seem like the type of lifestyle that I wanted to live as a dad. So I was really lucky because this audience was building, and they were there, and they were wanting more videos. They were wanting more regular videos. And I just was like, well, YouTube's going to give me the opportunity to be the type of dad that I want to be, and be a lot more present in my daughter's life in the way that very few parents, especially dads, are able to be. And so I made that decision to give up on that dream of being a traditional filmmaker, and then go a bit harder with YouTube. But then when I did that, I started implementing some of the stuff that I learned in the music industry into my vlogs. And, you know, like, I feel like I was one of the first family vloggers to start like implementing a bit of serious B-roll and, you know, stuff like that in there. So I added some of my own passion into it.
Yeah, dude, that was one of the reasons why I really liked your channel from the start too. Like, aside from the fact that you had a beautiful family, incredible family, right? Your story was cool. What stood out to me is there was very few of us, you know, I felt that approached it with a storytelling element and with a cinematic approach at times, right? Because it was the same thing, right? We both I think we probably both knew based on how you edited your videos and filmed them, is like people didn't care about the beautiful cinematic as much as we did.
They did. And that's the funny thing. I would always get frustrated that I would make these videos that I would spend a lot of time on and be really proud of, and the views would just go
yes.
And then I remember like one of the videos that got the most views in my channel was a video that I was so bummed with that I wasn't going to post because it was just so like basic. And then at the last minute I was like, I have no other video. Let's hit post. And then just like the really basic ones were always the ones that would do well.
That's so funny, dude. Exact same, bro. It's like my biggest video of all time was one that I was like, I wasn't even going to film that day, right? It's like I picked up halfway through the day. I was like, might as well. We're hanging out at the pool, like the whole thing. So that's so funny to hear because I know you and I have had that conversation before. It's like, dang it, I just want to make these like beautiful, like cinematic, like storytelling, and you put your heart and soul into it, and people, they just didn't care, you know? They wanted to see that. Like, what do you think they wanted to see?
I think they want something that they want us. I call it the Kanye West effect. I feel like people want to see something that they feel like they could potentially do themselves. Like Kanye, when he came out, a lot of respected rappers loved him as a producer, but because his flow was a little bit more simple to, you know, like your Jay-Z's and stuff like that, a little bit offbeat. His singing was kind of, you know, like very auto-tuned and stuff. People didn't, you know, like people in his industry didn't think he was going to make it the way that he did. But it had like this feeling of I could almost do it myself, even though it had creative genius in it. And I think people like that. People like the rawness. It's even like Casey Neistat. Like as a filmmaker, he sometimes leaves in bits that more polished filmmakers would take out. But people love seeing that pure honesty and rawness in the videos. And especially on YouTube.
Yep, I think that's such a good thing to point out. In all honesty, because people ask me all the time, like, what if I were to start like a YouTube channel? And they're like, I'm a filmmaker, I'm this and that, and their stuff is so good, right? Because like I'm sure you doing what you do as well, you're a filmmaker as well, like myself. Like people can produce these beautiful, like B-roll, awesome music, these really cool things. Unless you're Sam Colder, right? For the most part, it's not like it's interesting for a little bit, and you're like, wow, that was really beautiful, and then there's nothing. Right. And I think that people make that mistake a lot when they're filmmakers already, right? When they're approaching YouTube sometimes is they forget that there's this sense of authenticity that YouTube has. Right. And if you don't have that authenticity, meaning like it's not produced, right? Like they don't want it to feel produced. And the more produced you get, the less likely people are going to watch it. Now, I think you have to be produced, right? In a sense of knowing like how to keep people engaged and re-engaged and re-engaged and re-engaged, right? But like, I think that's where like traditional storytellers like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or whatever, right? People who know how to do this long form content, they're so good at, they don't have the authenticity, right? Because it's the whole thing is cinematic. Not that cinematic isn't authentic, right? But the YouTube authenticity is about being raw, being real, looking like we're on our phones or whatever, and we're just capturing the moment. That's the authenticity, right? But the thing that I think that long form content on like those platforms that we were just talking about do is they know how to tell stories, you know? And that's what I think one of the things that really stood out to me watching you guys, right, is because you had a mix of that, which was just enough, right? It was just enough where we could still feel creative and feel inspired and feel excited and proud of what we do. And those were the moments I was like, I want to rewatch that,
You got to find the balance.
Yeah.
People have certain expectations when they come to different platforms. Like if someone goes to Hulu and Netflix, they probably don't want to watch vlog style content. They go there for the more polished content. Whereas when they go to
Right.
YouTube, they don't necessarily want to see the same stuff that they would go to Netflix or Hulu for. And it's even the same with like Instagram. Like when Instagram was a picture platform, people will go to Instagram for, like the more polished looking photos. And now TikTok, I feel like
Right.
TikTok people want raw videos, whereas Instagram is a little bit more polished still. Like it's so weird.
It is.
The
Yeah.
psychology of how people go to different platforms for different things, and you kind of have to cater to that.
It is interesting. And a lot of times, even too, when I have like clients and stuff, we'll be talking about their content strategy and stuff. And I always try to remind them, like, they'll have these great ideas, right? But I'm like, you got to remember, like, the mindset of the person who's coming to YouTube, right? Because, like, for example, like YouTube, probably people are going to be willing to watch slightly longer, right? Versus TikTok, right? TikTok is just like swipe, 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 swipe. You know what I mean? It's just like all day long. It's just like
the 5
constant
second
dopamine
5
rush,
second
you know,
attention
like,
span.
Yeah. So, dude, that brings me to something I did want to ask you too. Is like, a while ago we were talking on Instagram, and you were telling me, or just DMing, you were telling me about how you were testing out some like vlog style things on TikTok, Instagram. How's that going?
Honestly, I didn't feel like it really worked. I did try it for a little while, and it sort of had like a mixed batch response. But all in all, I felt like it was a little like I was doing these little 1 minute vlogs. And I think the thing with vlogs is people already need to know who you are to be interested. And the TikTok algorithm, because I'm relatively new to TikTok, it's serving me to new people. So people not knowing much about me, seeing a vlog, it's very hard to keep more than 10 seconds of their attention. So, I found it didn't work as well. I feel like for celebrities or people who already have a really big following already on TikTok, it can work. But I think you already need to build your platform before you get the vlogs going.
It's a really, really good perspective in being able to see how, that response, because you actually do have a fairly good following, but that makes perfect sense that they're showing you to a whole new audience that hasn't emotionally connected into your story and who you guys are. So they don't really care about the day unless it was something to immediately grab their attention, like someone falling off of something, right? Because like TikTok, like that's the stuff that's like, whoa, the car just almost hit somebody, right? It's like all the instant shock factor on to the next, it's like so desensitizing. It's insane. So dude, I don't know if you remember, I know you lived through this too, just like me, because we were in the same time. Do you remember like when family started going kind of crazy, and like I don't know if you guys got into the clickbait too much, maybe a little bit. I can't remember.
I think everybody had to get into it a little bit, but
during a time, right?
Yeah,
2015 to maybe it was more like 2017. I think was pretty intense for all family channels. We were, and just not even just family channels. Like Casey and I said, everybody, even the bigwigs were doing it, right? It was kind of like YouTube was the only way to kind of get views. Like YouTube was like rewarding you almost for like the attention grab.
Sometimes you would see a thumbnail that had absolutely nothing to do with the vlog, and you'd just be like, "How?" But it did make people
guilty,
click.
Bro. It did. It did. And the click-through rate was really pushing videos during that time. It was crazy. We lived through that. YouTube, do you remember like YouTube cracked down on us family channels like majorly, right? Like no comments. I don't know. Do you still have comments on your channel?
I was pretty...
Did they go away for a while?
I was pretty lucky because I always had a pretty good reputation. I didn't really go... I never clickbaited anything that was... What's the word? Sort of, like that looked like anyone was being endangered or injured.
Right, okay.
I never clickbaited anything negative because I don't know. I never felt quite right about it.
See, I always liked that about you. You had so much integrity.
I knew
it was
I knew I could get the views, but I never wanted to get the views the wrong way, and I also never wanted to manipulate my audience because I always felt like my channel was built by my audience, so I didn't want to ever put anything like I was actually one of the very few family vloggers during that era who never had my comments removed. I felt pretty blessed because of that, because I think comments do play a big part in YouTube engagement.
You can't connect. Yeah. I think that's what hurt family channels a lot too, aside from the fact that you pointed out, right? Like the manipulation, and that destroys trust
100%.
too. And I'll be honest, like I did make those mistakes. Like I did get caught up in the rush. Like where we currently, like where we live, there's like 10 million, 10 YouTubers or more in our very small area, family channels who are all doing that. And without thinking, we were just in that rat race of keeping up. All of us were just like trying to keep up with each other, right? And everyone's buying these $1 million homes and like all these things. And it was like this thing where I was almost moving so fast that I didn't stop to really think what I was doing until later.
It's easy to get caught up in that as well.
It is easy.
Something that I did very early on in my YouTube career that I always tell people to do was I kind of made a list of things that I was and wasn't willing to do as my popularity escalated. Because I think, as you said, when money's coming in like crazy fast, you're seeing your channel growing crazy fast, you're seeing these potential opportunities, it's very easy for your morals to change quickly because your focus changes and you become a different person. So I kind of felt like I needed to be able to look back on, you know what, Jamie, because that's who I am at my heart. Jamie didn't feel right about, doing this, that, and that. And even though I could make more money, I feel like my true self is more important than the money. And I kind of feel like I'm glad that I did that.
I love that, dude, because seriously, like I know I mentioned it earlier, but that really is truly, you don't know this. Like I've never told you this. I've never told anybody this, right? But the relationship that we had, and we talked about a lot of these things. Like you and I have always been very like vulnerable, I think. Yeah. Almost like a support, right? We've always been like this dad support on YouTube together.
And you even reached out one time like, hey, YouTube dads group at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it was a great idea, But so we always kind of had that, and seeing how you had this integrity that was not doing that was always a conviction that even though I was starting to branch off a lot, on a lot of clickbait, and I did make those mistakes of using things where like it looked like the kids were getting hurt, even if they weren't hurt, right? Like I was doing all these stupid things, copying. A lot of it, what I was doing was copying. Like I was duplicating what I saw work for someone else or whatever. But I don't want to push it off. Like I made that mistake. Like I was held accountable for the mistakes that I made. Like I own that, right? Like I'm not saying I copied and it was their fault. I blame no one but myself for stepping over those lines, right? But I didn't see that till later. But Jamie, you were one of those people that stayed, like you said, stayed pretty good with all that actually helped bring my moral compass back to realizing what I was doing. Yeah, dude, you were able to be this like almost like this conviction where I would see what you were doing and it stood out to me. You stood out to me.
Thank you. I think, it's true, also bro. Because I'm like in Australia where there was no other big family vloggers over here, and so I guess there was no peer pressure either. There was no one in my immediate circle doing any of that. So I was kind of like, who knows if I had been in LA where I was around other creators all the time, who knows? I can't say that, if I was in your situation, I wouldn't have done the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah, it's almost like the culture and stuff plays
the people you're surrounded by definitely, as much as you're your own person, the people that we surround ourselves with, they influence us to a certain degree.
Yep. For sure.
And we influence them as well.
Yep. So have you noticed that YouTube has gradually gotten a lot less strict again on family channels when it comes to that kind of stuff? Because I'm seeing the trend coming back. I'm seeing certain channels, family channels, just across the board, who are going back to that style of clickbait where children are hurt, children are rushed to the hospital, children are going to the doctors, children, anything like you said that put them in some sort of trauma or dangerous situation. And I'm seeing not crazy views coming from it, but I am seeing people doing that again, and doesn't seem like there's any repercussions anymore like there was for a while.
I'll be
Have you
I'll be
noticed that?
completely honest. I don't get time to watch that much YouTube anymore.
I love it,
Like
bro.
back in the day, I used to research other channels. I would go through, I would analyze their thumbnails, I would analyze their content, what was
Hmm.
working, what wasn't. Some of it I would use, some of it I wouldn't. Like, everyone gets their inspiration from somewhere. But these days I watch very little YouTube. So I didn't even know that. Like I you
I stopped watching YouTube for a long time, and then now that like I'm like just like all back in,
well,
right?
you're
Like
coaching
I've
now, so
dove
you
all the
have
way
to
back
be.
in. I have to be. That's right. I'm watching such a broad spectrum of content. Yeah. So now with the coaching, it's like it's constant, dude. I'm like morning, night, all the time, just watching, trying to keep up the best I
Yeah,
can. You know.
I used to set aside time to just sit down, specifically watch stuff. I would
Same.
take notes. I'd be like, okay, this is good. I would find thumbnails that attracted me, and I would try and look at the thumbnails before I would look at the views and engagement, and then I would then look
Hmm.
at, all right, so I like this thumbnail, but did it work? A lot of the time it didn't. And then I'd be like, I didn't like this thumbnail, but it worked for them. What was it that worked? And I would sit down, I would take notes, and lot of work goes into making videos successful.
So much work. It's insane, dude. You're so right. So like, what's like, walk me through your creative process now. Do you plan your thumbnails and titles before you start filming?
I should, but
Walk me through your process.
you know what? My process has changed over the years. My process nowadays,
Okay, so
it's completely raw and
tell me
organic.
then. Tell me what it was like during your peak, and then tell me what
All
it's like
right,
now.
during my peak, I would try and plan ahead. I would think of ideas and execute them. I've never been one to plan thumbnails ahead of time, and it's probably my biggest weak point. I wish that I could think that through, but even when I plan videos, when it gets to the point of releasing the video, the thumbnail and title has usually changed from what my original concept was. So most of the time they're just screen grabs from my videos. But yeah, back in the day, I used to do a lot of pre-planning. I would film a lot more. I would be a lot more creative with it. It was a little bit more directed. Nowadays, it's entirely raw. It's just like whatever happens, happens. It's just bits and pieces. It's most of the time it's either filmed on like a Sony ZV-1 or my iPhone. Like it's not as cinematic as it used to be. It's just sort of like it's more documenting now than it used to be. It used to be a bit more, I guess, directed in a way.
What's it like being dad, producer, director, editor? You know what I mean? The whole thing. What's that like? What's that dynamic between the kids and you? Because I know personally, like it's tricky being a dad and working with
Yeah.
your children and having right. It's a true test of patience. At least it was for me, especially with like brand deals and stuff like that. What's that like for you?
So it's changed over the years. As I said, sort of like before becoming a single dad, like I would, like it was a little bit more, things were a bit more directed and thought through. Now I
Hmm.
don't want my kids to ever feel like it's work. I want to just capture the real authentic moment. And that's why sometimes it's just like picking up an iPhone and, like what happens, happens. So my kids really love making videos. They complain I don't make videos enough anymore. Um, and they always get mad when they find out I made a video without them because they actually look up the YouTube channel. So they find out when I made videos without them and
They
they're
know.
like, you made a video without me. Um, but yeah, I try and keep it fun. I try and not make it seem like work or something we have to do. It's something that we all want to do. And if there's ever moments where the kids they don't feel like being on camera because it does happen sometimes where they're just like, let's put the camera away or, like, yeah, anytime that they don't feel like doing it, I don't feel right in pushing it. And that's why even like with brand deals generally, like it's gotta be fun. Like if you see like my photos on Instagram, I'll normally like let's say we work with like a toy company or something like that. Rather than having a post photo, I'll just sort of like set a camera up and set a, like the timer to just take photos like every 1 second, and we'll genuinely play with the toys as opposed to, like, hey guys, we got to sit and we got to pose, we got to do this. It's like, nah, let's just have fun and we'll capture the authentic moment. And that's what keeps it real, but it's also what keeps it fun for all of us so that it doesn't become something that none of us really enjoy.
Yeah, for sure, man. So are there any like highlights, like your most favorite moment, with your kids or just in your YouTube journey? Like, is there like one video or one thing? Cause it doesn't even have to be a video, cause like I know for me, like I got to meet like Travis Barker, which was kind of a cool thing. LeBron James, I got to go to a movie premiere. Like some of those are like highlights. It was like, and then, Justin Timberlake was in one of our vlogs briefly as he walked by while I was filming, and I was like, what the heck? And he bumped into my wife, Hannah, and he's like, oh, sorry. And then he sees the camera, and he gives a little cool. Smile, a little Mr. Smooth smile. And I was like, that was freaking Justin Timberlake. Like, he was just in our video, Cool. Like, do you have any like those kind of moments that are just like highlights that you're just like, oh, this was my best, like it was the most fun, or like this is such a special moment with the family?
I would say career-wise, my highlight would be I got asked to fly to the Vatican to film a vlog with the Pope, which was just like,
that's insane, bro.
What? And I remember, like, this is the craziest thing to me. So like YouTube, they picked like I think there was like 12 different countries they picked a creator from to go to this thing. And I was like the representative of Australia and my ex-wife as well. I can't leave her out. And we got flown over there. We were initially, I think we were supposed to get like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that, like our group. And he ended up staying with us for an hour. And this is what's crazy to me. Salma Hayek, Richard Gere, and George Clooney were in the room next to us because they were scheduled to have some time with him. And he ended up like snubbing them and chilling with the YouTubers, and they got a handshake. And all us YouTubers, we were all like, whoa, George Clooney's here and stuff like that. And like he spent time with us and we got to make a video with him. And it was just like, it was such a surreal experience. And he was very humble and down to earth. And this is a crazy feeling that, wow, my career has taken me to a point where I'm making a video with the Pope.
It's crazy, right? YouTube, that's another thing I always tell people too, especially if I'm like coaching on YouTubers, and I'm like, the things you can't predict are the opportunities that are going to come from this. I'm always like, there was like, well, can you predict? And I was like, you can have a pretty good idea of what's going to work and what's not going to work, but you never know for sure, right? There's no one right or wrong way to do YouTube, I feel like. And you can't always predict everything. Like, it's not fully predictable. There's things you can predict, and there's a lot that you can't, right? And that's one of the things where it's like you have no idea the opportunities that this is going to create for you, like once in a lifetime literally. Things, right?
And sometimes it seems like a troll, like someone will hit you up, and you'll think that they're a trolley. Like I remember. Once I got this email from one of the head people from Pirelli in Italy saying that they wanted me to be in a Pirelli commercial. And it just did not seem legit. I'm like, this is because you get troll emails. You get very obvious troll emails saying, I want you to do this brand deal. I want you to open this file. And this did not seem like a legitimate email. But I decided to go along with it. I ended up in a Pirelli commercial. It was crazy. Like, I got to drive all these Lamborghinis and Aston Martins, and it was wild. Like, some of the opportunities that come, it's unbelievable. It's like pinch yourself moments.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. That's awesome, bro. So with all that and everything that you've done, incredible career, right? Incredible channel. Like, you've raised happy children, on YouTube, like incredible stuff that's happened from your career already. How do you see the future of YouTube for family channels going?
In all honesty, I'm not sure. I feel like family channels have kind of had their peak, in all honesty.
I would agree.
I hope that they will have a comeback. I think there was channels who did the wrong thing and kind of tarnished the branding of family channels for a while, and YouTube started suppressing family, because there was a while where family channels were like the golden child of YouTube. YouTube was pushing them really hard because they showed family values in a world where family values weren't really valued anymore. That was showing, like positive family dynamics, but then people became opportunistic and started showing things that weren't, like going with those morals, and kind of, a few really bad creators ruined it for a lot of people. So
there's a few really bad ones. Yeah. Like beyond even like the clickbaity stuff that I was doing, right? It's like some of them that ended up in like jail time, like really bad stuff. So yeah, they did. They were the ones that affected pretty much everything for all of us, and then all of us started to get the whole family scene there for a while. I felt it was, at least where we're at out here in Southern California, right, was just very tense, dude. Like everything that I was meeting, everybody, there was this darkness and there's just like tenseness as being a family channel there, through YouTube for a while.
Yeah, so honestly,
I don't know if did you feel that?
I was like, wow, is this bubble finally popped? Is this it?
Yeah.
And then, like it did come back a little bit, but it's never really come back to the way that it used to be. I don't think it'll ever have the same peak that it did. I think it'll probably it'll grow to a degree. It's still got a lot of untapped potential, and there's also ways for people just to spread positivity through it as well if they're doing the right thing. And it's not necessarily about money and view count numbers. It's about, putting something out there that if you put something out there that positively affects just a few people, you're doing the right thing. You don't necessarily need to be, like reaching millions of people to be doing something positive. So I think there's still positivity in it and good reason to be doing it outside of, like where it was when everyone was just making like crazy money and crazy views out of it.
If you had to start a YouTube channel today, would you do anything differently?
If I was to start over, I would make it more about sort of like my own passions, to be honest. I think, like as a family creator, as much as I love doing what I'm doing, I sometimes feel like I'm a bit, stuck in a box. With platforms, people watch things for certain reasons and they don't like seeing the switch up. So sometimes I find when I want to just go out and do stuff that I enjoy personally, the views aren't going to do that well, which affects me financially as well. So something I always tell creators is do something that you really love and something that's easily sustainable, because as you said, the family channels, like it's harder on YouTube now. So I feel like I would probably start over. I would probably do like camera stuff, like Peter McKinnon type content. I would love to do that sort of stuff if I was to start over.
I love that. You would crush it at that thanks, too, man. Bro. Like your quality has always been there's times where I'd be watching your videos like, how is he doing this? What is this? What's he exporting? Like how's he making it look this good? Like it would make me want to be like, oh, I gotta like get better. Like I gotta make sure that mine is like
I would always
good,
look at your channel like that. And I'd be like, where does he always come up with these ideas? Like he's got these crazy viral ideas, like, I think we all do that. We all look at one another and we're like, how does he do that? Not knowing that the same person's looking back at you like, how does he do that?
Yeah. So great, dude. I love that, bro. Well, Jamie, thank you so much, dude. I know there's so much wisdom and experience, and those are things that that people you can't just like snap your fingers and get right away. So thank you for sharing, years and years and years of experience with listeners today, man. Where can they follow you, subscribe to you? Can you let us know real quick?
Jamie Perkins on YouTube, Jamie Perkins on Instagram. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, notification bell, all that stuff. I hate having to mention, but it makes a difference when you say it.
It does, guys. Hey, and if there's nothing else you walk away from listening to this or watching this, it's that right there. Don't forget your call to action. Try to do at least 2 per video, even on short form content. Because if you don't tell them what to do, they don't know what to do.
That's something that I always struggled with. I know we're wrapping up, but I will say do that. For the first few years I was on YouTube, I would have people at YouTube telling me, you never say that. You need to say it. I'd always be like, it's so corny. I don't want to be saying that. And then I got talked into doing it as an experiment. And I noticed like for the first like month of doing it, at like an actual real difference in the amount of subscribers that I was getting from saying it. It's so important.
Well, that's awesome. What a great way to wrap this up, dude. I thank you so much, bro. Thank you for your time, dude. And hopefully we'll be able to maybe someday hop on another one because I know you have so much more knowledge and experience that you can share. You guys definitely go check him out. Well worth it. Incredible YouTube channel, incredible Instagram, and you're crushing it on TikTok too, dude. So I got to catch up with you.
Appreciate it.